Hello, this is Michael from Relocode, and today I will try to provide our opinion as a team of lawyers, attorneys, and business consultants with more than 15 years of legal and immigration work with US about what's happening now in US and what logics lies behind the ban for visa services for 75 countries for applicants for immigration to US. So non-immigration visas, they are not on hold, but as you know, all green card holders who would like to apply for entry visa, they are on hold for uncertain period of time, and that implies for 75 countries. So today I will share our opinion as a team about what's happening on. So my attitude towards relocating to US. So should we wait for another president, or should we do it now? Should we proceed? Should we start any activities to get a green card or something like that? The answer is yes, for me and for most of our clients. So I personally represent a group of people who believe that US is not an ideal place, of course, to relocate to. And many people are relocating outside of US, but it's the only place for people with European mindset. So my wife is in China now. She says she will never go to live there. I've been to many places: Singapore, China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and so on. And I'm not sure that I will be. It's the best place for me to build on my potential, to build my career, to build my business. So I have been to and have lived in South America, and I'm currently in London, and I'm a resident of France. So I have some countries to compare. So my conclusion is that for the next 10 years, despite all the negative news, and most of them reflect the real case, what's happening in the US, despite the strengthening or tightening the immigration rules in the US, I believe that there is no other option for people with ambitions who would love to build a big scalable business other than to go to the US. Because otherwise you face all types of unlogical barriers in terms of trade unions, taxation, and everything. And in Europe, there's socialism everywhere. So it's not the country for entrepreneurs. So my own opinion is that if you want to build a business and want to be an entrepreneur, you should go to the US. The second thing, if you want your children, I don't know if you have kids. I have a son, 11 years old already. I want him to be entrepreneur, at least to develop entrepreneurship thinking. So I believe that this is not China. This is not UK where you can build this type of thinking. This is definitely not European Union where you can build this type of thinking, because you will be within a group of people who never think about entrepreneurship. That's the worst case scenario for them. So it's only US that you can start developing some kind of entrepreneurship thinking and philosophy. That's the second reason. So personally, myself, I got stuck with the freezing of all visa services for immigration reasons. So for potential green card holders, I got my EB-1 green card approved. And I was in the middle of the process of applying for a visa. What I can say is, first of all, the processes of visa the visa processes, they are not on stop, on total hold. So I got requests for extra documents. Our clients, they get regular appointments for visa, they got visa appointments for interviews, for visa interviews. So the process is going on its usual basis. The only thing that is on block now, is on hold now, is that if you are finally successful with your visa interview, you will not be awarded a visa before this hold is over. Legally in the US, without a Congress resolution, you can put any administrative process on hold for 90 days, 90, not longer. We believe that this will be the case. So if you are in the middle of application for green card, go forward, don't stop it. If you are in the beginning, even though go forward, because it will take you 1 or 2 years anyway. So it's not the most fast process anyway. So it will be longer than 90 days anyway. So in general, I believe there is no other option where to go other than States, because in Europe it's even worse. In China it's worse. In New Zealand and Australia, there's nothing to do there, in my opinion. So in South America, you cannot build a business there. In Africa, you cannot build a business. Of course, there are many cases, people who did that, but they did that, I would say, against so it's more complicated sometimes to do that. Some people would argue that we all need to go to Africa because most of business opportunities are there, but I'm just not happy with the level of security and safety and quality of life there. The same with South America. But it's, of course, up to you to decide. For me, my personal opinion is that for myself, US is the only way. I'm not sure if that's the answer on your question, but I try to provide my fair and open-minded opinion about the US. Is it worth going there today or not? First of all, I believe that I understand some reasonable business logics behind the processes that we see with H-1B visa. So I never couldn't understand how it could be the case that the people are selected on random basis for coming to US with H-1B visa, right? Like lottery. And there was no sense for me. So I was wondering why they wouldn't put higher salary or higher qualifications criteria, right? So that was my idea, like a blue card in Europe. So you have to hire the local one. Otherwise, you need to propose a higher salary for a higher qualification purposes for the person who is not in Europe. So that was no logic for me in US. Right now, what I understand is that they change it to the way that I understand. So the people with higher qualifications and higher salaries are proposed on the first, so they considered on the first way basis, right? So that makes sense for me. So I believe that there is some logics behind this decision. So I would extrapolate this potentially to all other decisions. For example, to close the borders for anyone who just want to come to US without any reason and any documents and to stay and get a way to work. To get the work permit. So before Trump, I'm not for Trump anyway. I'm not the one who would go and vote for him. But I believe that what happened after Biden makes some logics for me. So what I want to say is that I believe, despite all criticism and all the bad and strange things happening around the US right now, right? So I believe that there are some logics in closing in changing the fact that it was much easier for a person without any education, without any work experience, without any qualifications to come to the US, get a work permit for 3-5 years, and stay there and work without any processes. And at the same time, it took 2 years for a high qualified PhD, 10 years top manager of a company to apply for EB-1A visa, right? That didn't make any sense for me before Trump. Now they blocked the way that let people without qualifications to come. That makes some sense to me, right? So why did they block the H-1B visa? I also have an opinion on that. I believe they want to change the fact that this was, in fact, if you talk to people who used H-1B visas, not your case, of course, but in many cases, it was used to hire people for less salaries. So they didn't have to pay the salary to a US person. They could go to, I don't know, Pakistan or some other country, to Africa, and say, would you come to US? We will be your sponsor, but we pay you less twice. That was what was not good for economy. That's my opinion, right? So that's the reason. So I believe there is some rationale on green cards decision, because what's happening, I strongly believe it's not against the talent visas and the talent holders, right? The EB-1A category. It's against other categories that provide non-skilled or not highly skilled migrants to come and stay with green card, like EB-3 visa, for example. So would that be a good effort, a worth effort to spend 1.5 years to get the EB-1 visa now? So I believe yes, by 2 reasons. First of all, my first point is that there is no other way to go, no other country to go except US. If you have ambitions to grow and build something big. The second reason is that anyway, that will be almost after the Trump presidency, sorry. So if you start now, you will have good chances. Even if this policy doesn't work, you will be very close to the end of his presidency. Anyway, so in my opinion, this is worth doing this. But if you have very more specific questions or concerns, let's discuss them. So since the ban was imposed for all visa processes for immigration, we have several, more than 5 cases that demonstrate that the process is not totally on hold. So, for example, my example, I have, after the ban, I have received a request for additional documents after I applied to visa processing before the ban was imposed. So after 5 weeks of expecting the interview date, I got a request for extra documents. That is a common thing for most of the candidates right now, to get any new extra. That was before the ban as well. Mm-hmm. And what I can say is that all questions and all the request itself is very reasonable. So they got confused by a very complicated story of my family. My son was born in Thailand. My wife is Ukrainian. I am Russian. My wife is changing documents, birth certificate to Polish one. So we have all mixture of documents. So they just asked to clarify why it's so complicated, right? So that makes a lot of sense. I would expect this request even though there's no ban. But the fact that they are still requesting the documents means that they didn't stop the work, right? So they are proceeding with reviewing the documents. And for our clients, they also either received the request for extra documents that was also reasonable. And it doesn't look like they are just trying to postpone the decision or trying to put it on hold with some silly requests. No, it's quite reasonable, and we can provide all the answers, and they are quite expected, right? So there's nothing strange in their requests. And some of our clients, 2 of them, they got the interview dates. So the interview dates are appointed. So they didn't stop the process. So we don't know yet what will happen after the interview, because the interview that is usually, though the process is like this now. You apply for, after you get your green card approved, you apply for the visa processing. Then it usually takes, depending on, I don't know, certain cases, in 4 or 5 weeks, usually, or 6 weeks, you get extra requests for documents. Most of our cases got it even before the ban. They request something. I don't know why, but that's all additional requests are the common thing with Trump now. And if you don't have it, you get or if you have it, you answer it. And then in 4 other weeks, the best case scenario, or 6 weeks, the worst case in our case, in case of our clients, you got the interview appointment date. That is in 2.5 months after. So in general, it's outside of 90 days period. What is most important, usually you cannot put on ban on hold anything for more than 90 days, according to US law. We don't know if that will be the case, but we expect, and our lawyers expect, our attorneys expect, that within 90 days, they will need to build new rules. What we expect is that there will be some extra requirements regarding financial stability and approve of funds, that you are coming and you are financially stable to survive in the US without applying for any social security. Because just maybe you know that, but the green card holders, they are allowed to apply for all types of social support and income support, or I don't know, if they have no job, they can apply for I don't know how it's in English, sorry. If they lose the job or they don't have the job, they can apply for support from the state budget. And the second thing, they want to increase the requirements to what the medical and health conditions. So there are many cases then people came to US and they start getting medical support. So they have 2 main budget holes right now in US, unemployment benefits and medical support still. So that's what they want to avoid, that there are more people coming and will take budget from these 2 funds without contributing to the economy. So the problem with green card holders is that you are not allowed to work in many cases. So many green cards do not imply that you have an employment contract. So you can come and in 2 years you will say, sorry, I couldn't find a job and I need support from the state. If you found yourself lost with the US situation now, don't hesitate to come for a free consultation with our lawyers you can sign by following the link under this video, and we would be happy to discuss your case and share our opinion as a second opinion. So thank you so much for watching us, and stay in touch.